Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today I want to talk about some small fixes for some relatively decent sized issues that I've run into in the last, year or so. Now, they're not big enough issues to do a whole program on, but put together, they have saved me a lot of time, and I'll tell you what brought it to the head. Each time that I ran into a problem, I just came up with a small fix. And I went to get my taxes done, and the people that did my taxes, they handed all my stuff back, and she said, "I really like what you've done with each property." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "A different checkbook register for each checkbook, or for each property. It really helps me when I went to itemize." So the first fix, and I'll tell you why I did it this way. It wasn't because of that. That was just a side benefit. But for each rental property that I bought, I searched out a bank or credit union that I got a free checking and free savings account from. And I would take the rent that I received, put part of it in the checking, part of it in the savings. The reason I did that was because, well, technically you're supposed to keep the security deposits separate and pay interest on them. That's the first thing. Second thing, I wanted to have, I've done this business before, and when you get to a certain size and you don't know how many properties you got, and you look into your savings account and you see you got 20 grand in there, and it's like, yeah, I got plenty. Well, to cover emergencies and rents and all that, and all of a sudden a month later you look and you got zero. I wanted to have a clear picture. So like if I had property A, and I'm putting so much a month in there, how much money do I have in for that property if I have a problem? Now the goal is to save a little bit each month until I get 10 grand for each property. Once each property reaches 10 grand, that money now goes into an investment account. But if you have 5 properties, and in your mind you know you're supposed to have 50, but you look in there and you see 25 grand, you rationalize it away by saying, well, how many problems can I have at one time? 25 grand is plenty. Well, one of the problems that most businesses have when they get started is underfunding and over-leveraged. This eliminates that problem. And winner chicken dinner, it also helps your accountant. Let's see. Yeah. I just learned this one. And this one worked out pretty good. Now, for each dollar that I have that comes across my path, I try to have it do something. So I run my checking account very closely, okay? And I do have overdraft protection on my checking account so I don't have accidents and check slips through, that kind of thing. But it's just irritating to me to have to worry about that every single month because I run it that close. But on the other hand, I want to run it close so I can maximize my savings. So here's one thing that I learned. I got my little side gig with the apartment complex, and they paid me my first month in advance. Okay? So whatever it was, $500-$600, whatever it was. So my plan was I was going to take $100. I was going to take that whole $600 or $700, whatever it was, and invest it in a mutual fund. And I thought, okay, cool. So I got the money sitting in a mutual fund, but what else can I do with that? So here's what I came up with. I took that check, the whole check, and I just set it in my checking account for the first month. Then I wrote a check, put it in an envelope, and I set it by my bills. And then at the end of the month, I mailed my checks in to deposit into my mutual fund. And then I took the next month's check and replaced the ones that I just took out. So every month, I've got a float built into the way I do my finances for the amount of that check. So that if I have any issues, I shouldn't have any overdraft issues. Pardon me, I can't read what I wrote there. What the hell does that say? I don't know what that says. Now, another small fix that I found was, we all know about direct deposit, right? And all your investing people will tell you do direct deposit because you never see it out of sight, out of mind. Well, I decided to do that with my savings also, my every payday savings. And I have found out from my savings alone that they can do that down to the penny. So if you get a raise for $5 a week, you just go in and say, okay, take an extra $5 a week out. Well, that doesn't sound like much, but it's $250 a year that you'll never miss. So I automated my savings and my payroll. Now here's one that I have not done in a while, but I used to do this all the time when I was younger, and I've got pretty good at it. And that's all the time saver books that you can find. And I'm sure if you go online and Google time saver tips from experts or whatever. And I'll tell you one of the big ones that I kind of have done most of my life, and I learned from one of these books, is when you get your mail in, instead of separating your bills and your advertisements, you just stand right at the garbage can. And if it's advertisement, it goes right in the garbage. That way you're not hauling extra paper around and sitting it on your desk, taking up space until you decide to do your bills, and then making the decision. Make the decision as soon as you get it. Touch that piece of paper one time. Into the trash. And here's an investment step that I learned kind of by accident. Invest in 2 or 3 different investment types at the same time. And you say, well, I've only got $100 a month. How am I supposed to do that? Well, let me tell you how I did it when I didn't have $100 a month. I did cashback credit cards. All right. So when I made my $500 from my credit card, I took that $500 and then I put it into a mutual fund. Then when I got enough in my mutual fund, then I bought a piece of real estate. And you say, yeah, but that's not the same time. Well, here's where you can. When you buy a piece of real estate, if you'll take the cash flow and then buy something with that. As an example, what we're doing right now, let's say each property cash flows $500. We're putting $100 a month per property into the mutual fund and $400 a month and we're putting it in savings. So the real estate is being paid off. We're investing in a mutual fund that's designed specifically to buy more real estate, and we're putting it into the savings account to fund any repairs that the property is going to need. We're building 3 asset classes with one investment. And here's one that I learned many, many years ago, and most people know this, but they forget it. If you are beginning the budgeting process or beginning to think about money and investments and all of that, and you're trying to generate some cash, let's say you just need $50 a month to generate some money so you can cash, so you can invest. Go to your HR people and say, how much is my deduction on my federal income taxes? Now, most people invest or claim 0 so they can get a deduction back or a refund back. Raise that to 1 or 2. If you're at 1 or 2, lower that down to 0. So instead of receiving a bigger tax refund, you'll be receiving more money each week. So each week you can invest, or each payday you can invest a little bit more money throughout the year. And don't give that money to Uncle Sam for a whole year. You keep part of it and invest it in your property. Okay, let's see. Good. Worth weight in gold. All right. Well, I was running through some things, and I'll tell you, the paycheck or the checking and savings account per property. When my tax person told me she was really thankful for that. That's what got me to think, well, I bet most people don't do that. And I know they don't, because my son's getting ready to start investing in real estate, and he asked me why I did that, and he said, that's a waste of time. It may be, but for me and for my accountant, it's a good thing. So just some small fixes for some relatively decent sized problems. I hope they help. I hope they paid off for you. You have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.